Yo, so if you're still up, like I am most nights, 2:45. Normally I would just sort of lay in bed and try and learn a bit more about Stoicism. I have mentioned that on a couple of occasions. It's definitely worth looking into if you're anybody. I mean, for an addict, ex-addict like me, Stoicism has a lot of truths. It has a lot of power to move forward. The reason for this particular video tonight is one, I can't sleep, and what's going round in my head tonight, to maybe get it off my chest to see if maybe I can sleep, is well, the truth be known, struggling to ever win an argument or a fallout. Stoicism has taught me to not fall out as best as I can, to find another path to arguing, to fighting, to shouting, to throwing things. It gives you, it starts it starts gifting you tools to tackle these things, to start understanding why you do things, what sort of the idea of it behind a trigger is. And sadly, the people around you, the closest people around you, will know these triggers and know how to push these triggers, or push the buttons, I suppose they used to say. But for us, we call them triggers. And a trigger for me, it doesn't do anything. Stoicism, it tries to teach you to not take it to heart, move on, don't spend too much energy and power on noise that you can't control. Now, that's a perfect way of saying it for me. But it's very difficult. This is it's a difficult step, this one, for me, because I'm not so bothered about criticism so much. That doesn't bother me. And really, with people that I don't know, that doesn't bother me. I've had a couple of trolls, don't bother me in the slightest. But if ever you are having an argument or a fallout, or even if you've got some better advice, sometimes I think doing this, it's quite difficult because I've made such bad choices in my life up until the point where I was sort of 39 when I got clean. Them bad choices follow you around. So in theory, it's like if you were a smoker, it's like telling your 18-year-old son he can't smoke. You know, it's do as I say, not do as I do time. And that doesn't work. I don't feel that ever works. So having advice, even though I've been clean for 6 years, is difficult to portray onto somebody, certainly younger than 39, because when I was 39 and younger, I was a complete fucking mess, a complete wreckhead. I wish I'd listened to people that had better advice, better paths, better avenues, and tools to move forward, tools to cope with trauma in my life, rather than drink it away and drug it away and start learning to cope with it. Stoicism is an idea that any obstacle in your life you should take on wholeheartedly, and not only wholeheartedly, but want to take it on. Use it as a stepping stone to learn for the next time. Stoicism is an idea that even if it's a stumbling block, if there's something blocking the way, it normally is the way. You've got to go over that stumbling block to keep going. Now, it's great in hindsight, it really is. And when you get to these stumbling blocks and you are faced with something that you wouldn't normally be able to cope with, or that you would turn to drink, drugs, whatever it may be, before having to face these stumbling blocks. Now, that can be, well, it can be anything. Anything can trigger different people for different reasons. It's recognizing your triggers and trying to understand what you can do with them. Now, one of my difficult ones, where my temper used to flare, was if I knew I was right or I hadn't done anything wrong, if somebody is unreasonable, and continues to be unreasonable, personal, unreasonable. I used to struggle walking away. I used to have to argue my point. I used to have to argue to the point where the person that I believed was in the wrong had to sort of apologise to me for doing that. But let's face facts. When people are angry or pissed off or whatever, we don't always got it in us to say sorry. The sorry will come when you've had a little bit of time out. I'm using that because when we were a kid, that's what used to happen. You used to have a bit of time out. You used to think what you'd done, and then you used to think, shit, I shouldn't have done that, and now I'm going to have to apologise because that's the right thing to do. That doesn't necessarily always roll over into adulthood. Sometimes people dig their heels in and think, well, bollocks, I ain't going to apologise. I don't want to apologise. But eventually, if most people, if they're in the wrong, normally do at some point. But on the receiving end of that, I can't push. I now can't force an apology. I've just got to sit back and take whatever is dished out to me because of my past. So from 39 backwards, 38, 37, I was a complete arsehole. Everything, just a horrible person. So now it's only sort of right that I sort of have to shut my mouth and wait and not be the aggressor. So if someone is being unreasonable to me, arguing and falling out, and even though I've done nothing wrong, or someone's just venting at me, rather than me be confrontational back, I rein myself in and don't say anything, or I explain my point and I walk away. Or I get out of the room, or I go for a drive, or I go on my bike, whatever it may be. I will do something, not out of temper, not slamming doors, not shouting, trying not to raise my voice, trying not to interrupt the person that's being the aggressor, and just being, look, that's my standpoint on it. I'll now leave and get out of the way. So it's difficult to win an argument. I don't know if you found that, if you're an addict or are an addict or recovering addict or wherever you are on your journey. It is difficult to give advice, certainly give good advice, because if you're not taking good advice yourself, it's very, very difficult to give good advice. Another part of Stoicism that I quite like is stop talking about being a good person. Be a good person. You don't need praise for being a good person. You don't need thanks for being a good person. Although that probably will come when you're least expecting it. Somebody somewhere will say, you've changed, or, you've turned into a decent guy, or you wouldn't normally do them sort of things. You obviously are trying and changing. Can an abuser change? Yes, where the whole leopard can't change his spots thing. See, again, I'm not talking nature, physically, can they change their spots? Because I believe they actually can. But can an aggressor, an angry person change their spots? Yeah, they can. Although I think, they'll always have it in them. It's the same as a drug addict, the same as me. I'm completely clean. I won't touch any more illicit drugs or prescription drugs if they're not prescribed, and I'm careful with what I do. I don't drink. But it's getting smaller and smaller and weaker, but it'll always live inside of me because it'll always be a part of me. For 20 years, it's all I did. It's all I ever knew. So yeah, it'll always be inside of me. Of course it will. And I was an angry person. I wasn't a wife beater or anything like that, but I was angry. I wasn't a nice person. I was definitely mentally abusive, as not so physical, but I would punch things or throw things or punch walls or slam doors or whatever. Just aggressive and horrible. And I'm sure scary, to my wife and kids at times. And I I don't want that, and then that makes me feel awful. It's one of the worst things that I'm struggling with to ever try and forgive myself for. And I think my kids would probably say now that not only have I changed, they don't see that side of me anymore, that aggression side of me anymore. Maybe I let them sort of get away with too much because of that, because I'm trying to make up for going over the top in the past. So it's a fine balance. That can you win an argument after being an addict or an alcoholic, an addict of some sort? You can, but you've got to do it a different way. And when you get used to doing it that way, you used to hear people saying it's taking the high road, and honestly, it's a great feeling when you haven't had to lose your temper, you haven't had to slam a door, you haven't had to shout, you haven't had to do anything other than get your point across and say it's okay. You know, I'm going to leave the room and I'm going to go put my headphones on, I'm going to listen to music, or I'm going to do something that calms me, listen to a bit of stoicism, YouTube, whatever it may be, to calm yourself down, get your equilibrium back, get centered again, get some deep breaths, reevaluate that situation. Marcus Aurelius was one of the people that started the Stoicism side of things. Well, I say started it, he certainly brought some practices into philosophy and the Stoicism side of things. Marcus Aurelius was obviously was it about 300 BC, something like that. And he give himself time at the end of the working day to reflect on every decision that he made. These are all documented as well. You can actually buy these philosophy books. I do a lot of it online, but you can buy these books. And he used to evaluate every decision he used to have to make. And don't get me wrong, his decisions were a shit ton bigger than mine. Whether his empire was at war, or if it be famine, or if it be whatever it may be, how he had some unbelievable decisions to make. Now, in comparison, my pathetic decisions are nothing, but they are to my life. They are relevant to me. So try and block out some of the noise of either people that, I'm not saying they're necessarily bad people. I've had to push people away that are good people, but they're just not good for me. So you've got to start blocking out some noise, blocking out some unwanted noise. Let your own brain start making some decisions and reevaluate them decisions at the end of the day. Did I raise my voice when I shouldn't have? Could I have answered that question a little better without being arsey and having a fallout? Did I really have to give the finger to a driver because they beeped at me? Reevaluate each decision. Could I have done it better? Should I have done it better? Will I do it better again? Every decision can be made and evaluated. And it definitely works, because I've been doing this now for quite a while. Probably a year or two coming up, where I started touching on it. Now I'm really getting involved with how the Stoicism side of things works. Now, I suggest checking it out for the simple reason is, like I say, it's not a religion. It's a way of life. It's like saying, so it's all very well going on a diet, but your diet is going to end and you're going to put the weight back on. So what people say is you change your life. It's the same thing. Stoicism is a way of starting to change the way that you think, starting to change the bad points in your life and start turning them into positives and growing from them points. We're all going to have pain in our life. It's how we deal with it. I think that's helped me. I don't know if it's helped you. Let me know. I am speaking to a few of you guys that are struggling, I think, as well. Mine is venting a little bit, I think. And I think talking about it to people that are also going through a similar situation is helpful. Or even knowing that it's being listened to by people that are going through it or are seeing it in their sons, daughters or relatives or whatever. Stoicism is now becoming a bigger and bigger part of my life to keep me a better person. And I'm starting, it's difficult to even say this, I'm starting to like the person that I'm becoming. That's probably the first time I've ever said that out loud in over 6 years. I thought I was living my best life when I was on drinking drugs and I'm a party guy, everyone fucking loves me. What a load of shit. I didn't realise until now, 6 years on, I can actually start seeing some benefits of a better person. But I still can't use that in an argument or a fallout and go, hang on a second, you know, that was a long time ago, because then it looks like I'm forgiving myself for all the years of hurt that I did. All I can do is try to be better each time, not argue, not fall out, not raise my voice, be the person, the father, the husband that I should be. And that's what I'm going to be. I won't rattle on as much as I did, I think it was last night or the night before. Have a good night, have a good morning, have a good day. I'll be back with some energy in the morning at some point with some more Adam's woodworking life with, I don't know what I've actually got on. I've got some bits and pieces. Oh yeah, I'm starting to look at things like this, which is going to be a walking stick. I quite fancy getting into that a little bit. I've started tidying up my workshop. I'll have a bit of a walk around tomorrow. So if you're about, come back, come and have a look. I'll upload some shorts and we'll have a laugh and a joke. And if you're struggling, email me. It's in the bio, the link. It's private. And maybe we can have a chat. If there's any problems, reach out. I'm here. Thanks very much. And I'll catch you in the next one.